The Fanfiction Power Hour is a comedy podcast between friends that does not attempt straightforward readings. The links to the fanfictions are in the description if you would prefer an unaltered experience and to support the authors by giving the stories a like.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Jen and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I am your host for tonight, Wizzy Puff, joined as always by the lovely Jen.
Hello there, everybody. How are you doing today?
Oh, looks like we got a Newfoundlander. Newfoundlander? Newfoundlander.
That's the one. Yep. I was just strolling through and, tripped in here.
How does that happen when I glued that door shut?
Oh, you didn't glue the ceiling shut.
You came in through the chimney like a frickin' Santa Claus?
Nope, the hole.
Oh. Jen, I told you to patch that!
Hey, I just didn't want to do it.
Man,
I don't see you paying rent.
now you're gonna be able to get out of here. That's the one thing I didn't want.
Whoops.
Oh well.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna get out of here now, too. Goodbye.
Alright, bye, Mr. Newfoundland. Or whatever.
Wow. Yeah, I stayed out of that. Hey, I'm Jen. I've been doing good.
Nice. Good enough to read another fanfiction?
Yeah, I would say so.
Perfect, because I have a treat for you tonight. It's another sunset fic.
Ooh. Oh, yes, I love that chick. Oh my god. How long has it been since we've read a sunset fic? I guess there was Sunlight Sliders. That one doesn't count, though.
That's true. It's been a bit, I think. But she's probably still one of the most popular characters on the podcast. Like most, I don't know. We've done the most stories
sure.
with her.
Think, her and Twilight are probably pretty close.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
What can I say? I can't get enough of my Sunny Bun.
That's why today we are reading Friends in Low Places by Holy.
Woo, bravo.
After those few comedy fics, I thought that we could finally return to a nice, calm, slice of life fic. I hope this one's calm, because that's the voice I picked out for the narrator.
Yeah, maybe. To be fair, I think the April Fool's Day episode was also a pretty calm fic. The problem was us in that episode.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that one was actually really like wholesome and sweet, but that episode was off the rails.
Yeah. Man, there are just so many things I could correct in that episode. Of course I won't.
You can do that when we actually read the Gloriosa Daisy fanfiction.
I want to give a special shout out to FimFiction, by the way. Apparently, the issue with 403 error dialogues on Submit should be fixed. Now they properly show a captcha, so congratulations.
Whoa! It's about
I don't know if it
time.
gave you that message, but it
did.
gave me that message.
I've been dealing with that error for months. I'm glad they did something about it.
Have you now?
I mean, I don't have a secret account where I upload awesome fan fictions that I quickly steer us away from whenever we get close to reading.
Man, I'm so curious now.
Ooh.
I would love to read one of those. Hypothetically, of course, in the situation that did exist.
And maybe just to say, you could go to the Gloriosa Daisy tag, check some stuff out.
Oh, God. Hearing some of the stuff in the April Fool's Day episode.
I made all of it canon in my own fanfiction.
Those will be some interesting fics.
All right. Are we ready to start this story?
Yep, I am ready.
Then let's get into Friends in Low Places by Holy. Chapter 1. To the Oasis!
The only chapter?
Thunder roared through the grim Canterlot skies. Sunset gave a worried look up to the growling gray clouds and was met with a raindrop on the forehead. Then another. They were a light sprinkle for now, but Sunset knew that wouldn't last long. She knew with all the angry red shapes forming up on the weather app, along with the ominous worst of the decade warning, this was no storm to risk being outside in. The raindrops picked up the pace, and Sunset had to pull the hood a little tighter over her face. She pursed her lips in worry, then furrowed her brow in determination for her task. That probably meant brow, but nope, she furrowed her brow.
Yeah, I have no idea. Come on, Vera. I know this stuff's your favorite.
Sunset said as she outstretched the treat in her arm as far as the orange stray in front of her would let her. A few weeks with her new name hasn't done much to change the pair's relationship, as much as Sunset wished it would. The orange cat carefully backed into her box away from the intruding hand. The narrowed glare between the treat and Sunset told her she wasn't in the mood today. Usually, a break for a day or two and Sunset would be right back to petting her like usual. But they didn't have the luxury of time anymore. Another thump of thunder against the city made the ground beneath their feet tremble. Sunset winced at the harsh noise and gripped the package even tighter, spilling some onto the cold, uncaring concrete below them. The longer she leaned in, the more the sidewalk sent waves of pain into her uncushioned knees, and the smell of the putrid trash of the alley made her stomach churn. The less determined parts of her mind begged her to return home for a rainy day nap or a video game session. But Sunset shook away the thoughts for the sake of her furry friend.
Okay, so I believe this is based off of a moment in a Equestria Girls music video, actually.
Wait, what?
I can't remember what it's called. Monday Blues, that's it.
Oh?
Yeah, this is from a Equestria Girls music video called Monday Blues, or based off of it. And in it, it's about like Sunset and Twilight both getting up on rainy Monday mornings to get to school, and follows both of their like paths separately. And Twilight has an umbrella. Sunset just has her hoodie.
Man.
And it's pretty great. It's honestly one of my favorite Equestria Girls songs. But there's a brief moment where Sunset is bolting to get to school, but she stops to pet a cat.
Vera!
Yep, I believe that would be Vera here.
Man. That makes this story even better. That's awesome.
Yeah. I can't believe from the image I didn't pick up on that until now.
Is that image from the thing, or is that fan art?
That's fan art.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But I believe it is an orange kitty cat.
Awesome.
But yeah, the hoodie is the same. So there's also that.
Nice. I feel like we've also seen her another time with a gray hoodie in another fan fiction. Or maybe I'm just crazy.
Maybe. I can't remember. Red Yellow might have had that as the image. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Look, I know this is home and it's all you know, but tonight's really not the night to get sentimental about cardboard. If I leave you out here, something bad could happen.
Sunset said. The statement accentuated with the low rumble of the dark clouds above them. Sunset scooted herself a little closer, prying further into the box. Vera's eyes darted between Sunset and the storm, her back arching and mouth opening for a harsh kiss. My bad, that says hiss. Why did I think that said kiss?
Come here, you.
I thought it was like saying something about her gonna bite a sunset, and that was what I read as harsh kiss.
Wow.
Her back arching and mouth opening for a harsh hiss. Sunset instinctively backed away before the swatting started. A pang of sadness hit her gut at the lack of trust. The thought of just wrapping a towel around her and running crossed her mind. She could probably get her home through the angry scratching, but the idea of the stray losing trust in her made her stomach form into even more unbearable knots. Oh, come on! It's gonna be so much easier after you
Aw.
kidnap her. She'll just get Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
Sunset leaned her head back and let out a frustrated groan.
I'm trying to help.
She sank onto the concrete, rifling through her hoodie pocket through all the cat toys she borrowed. Half the orange shapes and materials she already tried, and the other half she knew wouldn't work. The jumble of treats didn't hold a candle to the nasty, wet fish paste Sunset already had in her hand either. Sunset closed her eyes and pulled in a slow, calming breath.
Maybe just...
She started with a welcoming smile, and her hand turned over and outstretched. Maybe her friend just needed a caring gesture. A gentle smile and a pet? Vera responded by clattering around her cardboard box for a potential escape route behind her, glaring at Sunset with a sharp gaze. Sunset's arm fell to her side, defeated. She looked over at her friend and could feel just how stressed out she was, hair frazzled and matted, eyes wild and darting between the thundering skies and the unwelcome guest. With the battle lost, Sunset's hand traced against the outline of the cell phone in her pocket. One quick call to Fluttershy and she might have a better chance. Her hand fell away as she thought about how far Fluttershy's house was, and how many previous attempts she'd had that ended up with the cat equivalent of, "I'm fine where I am."
Okay, easy fix. Call Rainbow Dash, then call Fluttershy.
Oh yeah!
Or call Rainbow Dash to get Fluttershy.
She could get both of them there quicker than the storm could even pick up.
Yeah. And honestly, you could just call Fluttershy. I'm pretty sure she would get there as fast as Rainbow Dash. You
What?
just told her about the kitty.
Oh, that makes sense. That's how you get her to actually, like, become a Wonderbolt, like, Rainbow Dash. It's funny, I never really think of her as a Pegasus.
Yeah, she's a
I
Pegasus.
mean, obviously, she's not in this version, but I normally think of, like, the Pegasi as being fast, sporty types, you know?
Not the ones that flutter?
Mm-mm. No. Sunset knew if anyone could change her furry friend's mind, it had to be her.
Please, Vera. What about all the snacks? The pets? We've known each other since I first got here. We've been through it all. Isn't that enough to trust me by now?
Vera's posture eased slightly, but still refused to fully relent.
Come on.
The unforgiving concrete finally putting her at her pain tolerance. Sunset shifted back onto her butt instead. But she sighed and looked down the long walk towards Canterlot High. Almost every day she'd walk down these steps, whether planning her next scheme, angry at the world, or cursing the names of the people next on her hit list. And most days, this cute little cat in front of her was there to meet her with her variety of mods. I think that means moods, but I'm picturing her with like devices and, modifications.
Yeah. She has a glass eye.
Yes! I really hope that's true.
Who knows? Do cats get glass eyes? What would the point be?
I don't know. It might make it easier to just, have a hole in your head like that, but I don't know. I would imagine like rich people might do that to their cat because, they're like, ugh, a cat with one eye. I can't look at that.
Just don't get a cat with one eye.
The thought of that constant in her life being gone forever tomorrow made her lean forward with a little more determination.
I mean, maybe it was just a few food scraps here and there on the way home, but that was probably better than nothing, right?
Sunset recalled all the half-eaten lunches and table scraps left to her furry friend, though eased back with a light cringe realizing there was quite a while where she thought she was too good to touch a ratty stray. Aww.
Probably not the perfect friend a cat could ever have, but I came around eventually, right?
Vera relaxed her arched back, still glaring at Sunset, but with a cautious curiosity rather than her battle-ready gaze. The cat looked between the dropped fish morsels on the sidewalk and Sunset, licking its lips, but still holding its ground. Sunset could feel the pat of the rain against her hoodie getting heavier by the second. Another thunderclap made both of them flinch. The scattered sprinkles slowly began to seep through Sunset's hoodie to the point she could feel the wetness. The storm wasn't going to give them much time now. Anxiety gripped Sunset's stomach at the thought of leaving her friend to the elements. That flimsy cardboard box above her would be mush in minutes, and it'd be a long run to anything else she could use. Another frustrated sigh forced its way out of Sunset's nose as she pulled her knees up to her and settled as close as Vera looked comfortable with.
I know how hard it is. It's hard trusting people. If all you've ever known is constantly fighting for something, everyone else seems like they're just going to get away. Friends are the last thing you could ever rely on.
Sunset said, looking down the long path toward Canterlot High. The side of Sunset's mouth turned up, feeling pride at the likely legions of rats felled and the other alley cats that would give her friend a wide berth.
You're probably the baddest cat around, I bet. On top of the whole world and the food chain around here. Nobody would dare mess with you.
Sunset said, wanting to give a congratulatory pet, but holding herself back. Vera settled onto her paws and gave a slight, triumphant puff of her chest while keeping her cautious eyes focused on Sunset.
Feels good, doesn't it? At least for a while. Lonely, though, isn't it?
Sunset said, her eyes trailing off to the concrete.
You could have everything in the world, all the respect and fear possible, but nobody ever really gets close. Nobody to really care but yourself. I've been there.
She said, looking back down to her spotty jeans and letting her lips curl up.
Seems like the only life that made sense sometimes. I bet you could hardly even imagine what it would be like to be stuck in an apartment, not having the whole world to roam.
Vera gave a quick glance at her surroundings, then gave her paw a nonchalant lick.
I know Celestia could never keep me cooped up in that tower. If all of Equestria couldn't be my stomping grounds, I wouldn't be very happy either. But I wasn't really happy anyway. Not as happy as I am now. Had to learn a few lessons on what to really go after the hard way.
Another lightning strike. Another jump out of both girls.
Ah!
The rain slowly ramped up, threatening the moment.
Just like you're about to.
Sunset shifted her uneasy stature as the rain pierced her clothing.
I'm sure you've been through hundreds of storms. You'd probably be fine through this one too, but you don't have to take that chance anymore.
The cat looked at her intently. She certainly looked more comfortable in her box now than Sunset felt out in the rain.
Life's a lot better with friends, Vera. And it's also much better when you're not soaked.
Sunset said, whipping off some of the moisture building on her sleeve. A mess of hair was already sticking to Sunset's face. The stray's eyes traced her up and down. A little bit of sympathy in the green glint.
It's a big jump into the unknown, believe me. It's hard to see a life beyond the one you have, and definitely hard to trust people you've only ever turned your back on.
Sunset said, drifting off to let some uncomfortable thoughts fill her head.
But it's worth it. Maybe the most worth it thing you'll ever do.
Vera turned her head and gave her paw another lick, though this one was much more uncertain. She looked over Sunset one last time before settling down into her box. Much more relaxed now. Sunset's expression twisted in frustration again. Vera looked more than ready to relax for the evening, despite the maelstrom outside her cardboard covering. Sunset tried to quiet her anxious mind, looking to her old friend one last time and knowing she'd have to trust her to make her own decisions.
Though I guess the first step is just trusting yourself enough to let them in, and trusting them enough to not hurt you. Something that can't really be rushed. I'll keep doing my best anyway.
The cat settled in, its soft orange fur fading as the night crept in. She shifted and looked toward her surroundings. If the decision had already been made, she could at least do something to help out before she left her friend to her own devices. The encroaching darkness and the even thicker clouds shrouded the alley, but that wouldn't stop her.
I guess I could knock over a trash can for you. Or maybe there's a crate or tarp around here. I really should have gotten AJ to help build a...
Before Sunset could finish, her breath caught in her throat. The steady flow of raindrops staining her jeans stopped, and in their place, the weight of a certain orange stray replaced the feeling. Sunset gasped, and did her best not to freak out as the massive grin spread across her face.
You've never come up this close to me before.
Lightning cracked through the sky, and Sunset felt the claws dig into her jeans at the noise as she regained her own composure.
Right, nasty storm incoming. Would you let me pick you up?
Sunset's hands slowly floated towards Vera, and an uneasy look passed between both of the appendages.
Just gotta get you somewhere a little less intense.
The claws dug in further as Vera seemed to think about bolting off, but as soon as Sunset's caring embrace made contact, she tensed and then relaxed into the gentle touch of someone who cared enough to help.
You won't regret this, I promise.
Sunset said as she stood upright with the cat held tight against her chest. The acceptance came maybe a little too late as sheets of water splashed down on her. Sunset did her best to hold her friend tight and huddle over her to make sure her new passenger wasn't the one getting wet. She made for home as fast as she could through it all, fighting her own lack of aerobic ability the whole way.
Once this rolls over, you can go right back to it. Or we could see Fluttershy, and maybe find a better place.
The storm roared overhead, cracking against the sky so often it felt like a war was breaking out. Sunset's mind started to think of all the wonderful possibilities she could bring, but the imminent exhaustion took up her energy limit instead. The storm forced its hand down onto Canterlot as if it was trying to wipe it away with a flood, or at least what it felt like through Sunset's ill-equipped hoodie.
Hey, Wizzy?
Yeah?
I haven't found much stuff to make fun of in this story.
Really? I've been holding back this whole time. I was gonna be like, Vera? Like aloe vera? Like a cactus or something? Like some kind of plant?
I can see why you've held back, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just caught up in the story. I don't know.
Yeah, this story is actually like really nice though.
Yeah.
It's exactly the type of little comfy rainy day story I was hoping for from it.
Yeah. It's a lot like a walk through the park or whatever it was.
Yeah. It was
Just
a walk in the park.
Bunch just nice stuff. Nice rain.
The arduous trek back to her apartment was only a few blocks, but felt like an eternity as she dodged puddles and did her best not to slip, keeping her precious cargo as dry as possible through it all. Her boots screeched to a stop in front of her building's door, and she fumbled around in her pocket with one hand like her life depended on it. Vera clawed against Sunset's hoodie at the sudden lack of support. Sunset winced at the gouging, but soldiered on through the hardship to deftly swipe her key into the lock. By the time she could finally shut the door behind her, it felt like a monster banging at the glass as she shut the two of them into shelter at last. Lightning cut through the sky and flashed against their surroundings. But Sunset could finally breathe a sigh of relief now that the sound no longer threatened to split her eardrums.
Whew.
Sunset leaned over from her own fatigue, and Vera took the opportunity to jump out of her arms and try to shake off the moisture.
Oh man. We made it.
Sunset pulled the hood off of her head to let her completely soaked hair fall against her back. She was now beyond caring about the sticky strands as she desperately tried to catch her breath. Even with the quick run, both of them were dripping wet and leaving puddles on the floor. A miserable cold overcame Sunset as her clothes settled on her. She started shaking as the feeling crept in, but a sudden warmth against her side came over to help. Sunset melted at the feeling of the soft, gentle, rhythmic purr against her hoodie. The cold clinging to Sunset's skin was
melting.
No, she wasn't supposed to go out in the water. You know, it's kind of funny. The Wicked Witch had flying monkeys. She didn't actually have a cat like most witches do.
You know, you're right. Huh.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little cat, too.
Because I want that cat to be mine.
That's really why she wanted to take Toto. She wanted Toto for herself.
Yeah. It's really a tragedy.
Mm-mm. The cold clinging to Sunset's skin was no match for the fuzzy warmth flowing through her now. The orange head affectionately rolled against the one dry spot left on her hoodie. Sunset leaned down to meet the gesture, rubbing her hand across Vera's head and back, and letting her cheek further embrace her old friend. Sunset let out a delighted laugh as she walked up the stairs to the shelter. She let out one last happy sigh and looked at those thankful light green eyes.
Friendship always finds a way.
Vera let out a grateful meow as Sunset did her best to stand herself up and wring out her hair. She started up the stairs to her apartment, ushering her new companion to some real shelter.
Now, let's get dried off. Maybe you'll like some of these toys I borrowed from Fluttershy.
Author's note. Trying to get out of a rut, and this seemed like a nice idea to help. Hope you enjoyed. The end. That was Friends in Low Places by Holy. Oh, this really does seem like more of like I'd really want to do this story as soon as I saw Sunset hold that cat rather than trying to get out of a rut type thing. So that's like impressive.
Yeah. Oh, man. That was cute.
This is really cute.
Yeah. I really liked the use of the cat and the Sunset relationship with the cat.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty clever. That's a nice reference to just a quick, maybe 10-second shot in the show.
Man.
Well, not even in the show, in our music video, for a side series of a show.
It's actually to contrast the music video from when she was a villain and she went over and pushed a cat into a dumpster.
Oh, God. You know, I wouldn't put it past her. She stole Spike, the dog.
What? She stole Spike?
Yeah, in the first movie. Granted, Spike was a bit more intelligent than a normal dog, but just as loyal. But it
Why?
proves that
What's the
she
plan?
isn't against harming animals.
True.
It was mainly just to get Twilight outside so that she could have her face to face. Have their big
Yeah, she
old
was like,
face to
touch
face
grass,
off.
Twilight, or I'll make you.
That's exactly what it's like. She isn't holding up a hammer or anything.
Oh my god.
It makes more sense in the story, in the movie.
But she really does seem like she'd be into cats, She'd be a cat person, Sunset.
Yeah. Actually, she does have a pet. She does get one in a
Oh?
short. Can you guess what the pet is?
A cat named Pearlescent. What was Opalescence, that was it. My bad.
No, that's Rarities.
Aw, man. What did she get?
She got a leopard gecko named Ray.
Oh my god, I was gonna say a lizard.
Yeah, well, you should have. She got one.
It's kind of a mix of a cat and a lizard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what a cute little relationship these guys have. It's just it's a nice kitty.
But then, of course, we have to read the epilogue where her landlord says no pets allowed and kicks the cat out.
No dogs allowed. Well, thankfully that didn't happen. That isn't in the epilogue. There isn't an epilogue actually.
Sadly.
So shut up. Have you ever like met a stray like that? Just kind of had a bit of a connection with a stray, or just
Well,
a
I
wild animal,
mean,
something like that.
all of my cats have been strays, and I've had 6 cats, my bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, so strays are kind of the best.
Strays are pretty cool. When I was working at McDonald's, there used to be this just stray dog that would walk up and just kind of roam around the place. Not like inside McDonald's, but like outside. And I was working
Yo.
at the window. So, yeah, I just like watched her roam around several times. I named her Bandit. And this was before Bluey, by the way. She had like little marks on her face, around her eyes. And
Like
that's
a
where that
little
name
baby.
came from. Yep.
Man, are you sure this wasn't a raccoon?
No, I'm pretty sure, actually.
Dang.
Not that I've seen many raccoons, although I have once, actually. I have seen a raccoon. One time.
Dang, nice.
I remember that one time I saw that raccoon. Wow.
I've seen a few raccoons at this point. There was this one raccoon that actually loved to climb onto my porch at night, eat all of the bird feed, and then drink out of the hummingbird feeders. Like a friggin' party animal.
Oh my gosh. What a crazy kid. Did you ever kill it?
No!
Had to ask.
Never kill a raccoon. I just take down the bird feeders. Birds can suffer.
Just as long as that fucking raccoon gets out. I would rather have birds suffer than let that raccoon have a good day.
That's what I'm saying. Those birds can find food easily. That raccoon, he needed to get that food as he could, even if it meant that the birds could no longer have a little surprise snack,
Yeah.
But this was a wonderful story.
Yeah.
And it's a real good reminder to spay and neuter your pets today.
Yes. Spay and neutering. It's for the family.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening tonight. This has been the Fan Fiction Power Hour. I am bidding you a goodbye and a good night.
Good night, everybody. I love you. Mwah.
See ya! Hello and welcome to Skippy's Power Hour. Sponsored by Skippy Peanut Butter.
Yay.
Skip to my Lou.
Love that stuff. Love that stuff.